Planning Commission this evening, I ask that you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Okay, the second order for tonight is, first I gotta have a roll call.
All right, Commissioner Hoff. Here. Commissioner Jelassic.
Here.
Commissioner Belt.
Here.
Commissioner Liebert.
Here.
Trustee Rhodey.
Here.
And President Knutson.
Here. Thank you. Second item is the public hearing. It'll be item B, rezone request by the Village of Pewaukee to assign a zoning classification of IPS Institutional and Public Service District to a parcel recently attached to the Village of Pewaukee. This request is located north and adjacent to 800 Main Street, PWV 0925998. Property owner, Waukesha County Technical College, and applicant is Village of Pewaukee. There's nobody here this evening from the public, so I'm going to open and close the public hearing. Again, citizen comments. Again, there are nobody here present, so we are going to skip that. Approval of the minutes, the Planning Commission meeting February 12th. I hope everyone's had a chance to go through them. Are there any questions, comments, or corrections as the way they are presented this evening? If not, then I will look for a motion to approve as.
Motion to approve, Rhodey.
Second, Belt.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Minutes are hereby adopted. Item 5 is old business. Again, we have none. New business is number 6A. Review discussion of possible recommendation on rezoning request by the Village of Pewaukee to assign a zoning classification of IPS Institutional and Public Service District to a parcel recently attached to the Village of Pewaukee. This request is located north and adjacent to 800 Main Street, PWV 0925998. Property owner, Waukesha County Technical College, and applicant is Village of Pewaukee. I hope everyone's had a chance to review this particular item. Are there any questions or comments as it relates to this item? If there aren't any, I will look for a motion to possibly recommend this rezoning.
I'd like to make a motion to the village board that they approve the zoning request by the Village of Pewaukee for the property at north and adjacent to 800 Main Street to IPS Institutional and Public Service District.
Liebert, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is hereby carried. Review, discussion, and direction to staff amendment to Village of Pewaukee zoning code for defining building widths. Again, are there any questions or comments as it relates to this particular item? Is there any direction or discussion that needs to be taken place on this? Or is everybody okay with the way it is?
I think the planner has
Mark,
some,
did you wanna say
you have some options.
Yeah, I've just put together a couple of options. We recently had a situation where staff was trying to look at building width and it lacked a definition. My main concern especially is when we get into things like corner lots and it's like, okay, now what do we do? So if we can have a definition, it can just make sure we have some consistency with interpretation and application of the code. That way everyone knows what we're looking at on the front end. So I did do a little research, found a couple of different ways it could be defined. I gave 3 examples here. You know, we just look for some direction. 1, if you want us to go ahead and prepare an amendment to add the definition for building width, and then 2, if you have one you like, or if you want us to go in another direction of finding a way to define it.
Freudian slip.
Any questions or comments? So are we looking at, there's no motion to be done here, but the direction is to just go with whatever the village staff is comfortable with? Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Okay,
So this will go to the village board for an ordinance, or do we also then have to review it?
It will come back. My plan will be to bring it back in May. Unless we'd have a very long agenda, then I wouldn't bore you with it and bring it back in June. But in the near future, bring back an ordinance to you before it would go to
And is there anything driving this discussion, or just it was caught and we just
It
wanted
came
to-
up, we wanted to go through it. In light of that, it's like, well, let's make sure that we have this on the books in the future.
It does seem like the easiest for me to understand is number 2, as far as a definition.
Yeah, I think that one's a little more common language used in it. I think it's a little simpler. That's why I tried to find some options that were out there. I appreciate that feedback.
okay, thank you. All right, next on the agenda is review and discussion regarding overview of previously approved outdoor dining locations within the public right-of-way. Again, everyone I'm sure has had a chance to review this. I understand from Matt that there was a request for possibly 4 slots that brought this forward.
Yeah, we had a business owner that they didn't formally submit, but they had reached out to the village and began the discussion about going from 3 to 4. Ultimately, in discussing with them, they didn't want to be the first to ask for 4. So they pulled their request or chose not to proceed with the request. But again, kind of in light of that, we kind of started looking at, okay, what is the history here? You know, staff helped pull together all the previous approvals, and there's been kind of this unwritten decision that is 3 is what's been allowed. So we thought it'd be appropriate to bring it to Plan Commission and ask Plan Commission, you know, are you open to more stalls being taken up? Do you want us to potentially prepare an amendment to the code to say 3 is the maximum you can get? That way we've kind of codified the unwritten, you know, rule that we have, and then everyone knows, you know, on the front end, here is the expectations.
So we've discussed this multiple times. I believe the reason we didn't put in, we all agreed through the years that 3 was the maximum, and because Artisan was the first one who asked and had the 3 spaces legitimately in front of their business. So then when they kind of kept coming and going down the line or going up the line, it was a maximum of 3. But when it got towards the end where the condos are and where mixing places or something like that, you have the space in between and the other space. So if I recall it correctly, we didn't want to put in the statement. It would be per each request and the actual business owner and their space or something like that. But if we say 3, then everyone gets to ask for 3 and there's not enough spaces for everyone to get 3. So it was left at a case-by-case scenario.
And it could be worded as something like up to 3. Not necessarily saying you get 3, but if 3 is the most you ever want to allow, we could look at wording that says use something along the lines of up to 3, and that way they know that is the most you could ever ask for. Part of why we wanted to look at this was then also to look at what has been taken up. And right now we're at about 17 of 53, so, you know, a third, rough math there, of the spaces have all now been kind of removed from public use. If everyone, you know, puts their patios in.
How do
in
we
the
get
summer.
17 this map?
17
only
of
shows-
53.
This map shows 14.
I think the map, I clearly only zoomed in on one area. So the number, the other one
Oh, I
must
guess,
not be
are we
in
missing-
here. 3,
There can't be that
9.
many spaces.
No, the reserved one. I think you're
It's the
counting
2 reserved.
Yeah, but
3,
that's
9,
3, 6, 9,
3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 17.
17.
17.
3, 6, 9, 12. Yeah, there's 17 on there. right?
I count.
There's
I
not,
count
there's
9,
not 53
12.
vertical.
15. Am I missing? Oh,
There's not
I,
53.
the 17 includes the 2
there's one.
reserve.
I was zoomed in. Sorry.
Could be.
I missed mixing bar.
No?
Where do you get the 53 from, Mark? The total spaces?
The individual from my staff that helped him with this counted on the aerial of 53 stalls along that area.
53 vertical?
That is what he had counted. Is that, do we think that's?
Seems high. Would he be counting like
Well, I
the
guess
ones
I
in
don't-
front of Park Avenue? I mean, would he be going around the corner?
I don't
I
think
have
so.
no idea.
I don't know what he's counting.
But if you went all the way down into like in front of the juice bar, maybe you'd get there. Like,
There's no verticals there.
oh no, there's not.
The verticals stop right at, the end of the condo.
Mixon.
So are you saying that
3, 4.
anyone can actually come in and ask for up to 3 and when we have to give it to them? Are you saying it's per review or something,
So right now, there's no numerical limit.
right?
There's no numerical direction. If somebody comes in for 4, you're gonna have a hard time with our current code denying them for 4, because it's a conditional use.
Correct, but I'm saying a owner isn't assumed that he'll get 3. I mean, it's case by case. I mean, eventually we'd have no parking.
Correct.
I mean, it
About
is,
45.
you can't just assume that they get it.
They
Yes.
kinda can because it's a conditional use. So if they come in and unless
just trying to
there's
very
a
quickly
reason for
scroll
us, substantial evidence that we, meet that Act 67 threshold to deny, in your words, they kinda can assume that they're gonna get what they
Well,
want.
can we fix that? If we're gonna fix something, can we fix that and say like up to a maximum of X percentage of downtown on-street parking?
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
there's gotta be a point where we
Yeah.
can't keep going.
That's why, exactly why Mark wanted to bring this topic up, is
Okay.
right now, there is no numerical cap. The village has an opportunity, if they want to put in a numerical cap, whether it's a percentage or a
Right.
flat number.
Yep, kind of 2 pieces that
Two
we
pieces,
wanted to
what I'm
talk
saying.
about tonight. The
Yeah.
first was the maximum for a
Owner. yes,
business.
Yep.
And then second is the appetite for where you end up, of how much of that parking you
Takes
want
up,
to
yeah.
allot to outdoor seating. You said right now you're at, like I said, roughly a third. I know when we had the last one for mixing bar, there was starting to be some concerns about how much public parking was being removed. So that was part of what we wanted to just bring up tonight is, are you also concerned, should we look at a cap for the most parking you want to lose in that stretch?
Yes,
Where
I
you want to make sure you reserve 50%, 60%, what is a number?
33 sounds
For-
great.
Well, So you would want
About a
to,
third. I mean,
so you wouldn't want to, make sure you don't want to lose more than a third. So we're capping total number of stalls that can be taken up for outdoor seating at a third. And you want to remain 2/3 as public parking. Right, or that's kind of what we wanted to talk about tonight.
There are a total of 47 stalls.
Actually, I counted 45 the second time, so I was close.
Well, and then, wait, the number of handicap.
you have to count those.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So there's
47. Yep.
And right now, we're sitting at 30. They may have been counting the straight spots.
Yes, which would be part of the parking. So that would make sense to count those at the very end. Or, I mean, we could define it however ultimately you want, right?
There wouldn't be any safe way to.
Well, from what I understand, didn't you just approve Park Avenue Pizza to have a parallel parking closed off?
For parking for that business, not for outdoor.
Oh, I thought it was for outdoor
Not
seating.
for outdoor dining.
Okay, because I agreed that I thought it would be kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
Because you're sitting with traffic.
No, that spot's just designated for parking for
Okay.
that business.
Well, I personally think we need to cap it because, I mean, all of us are down there a lot and the parking is becoming, rare. Let's figure out how to park.
Can you put something in there that states that handicap parking cannot be taken up for street dining?
That's a federal law. You can't do that.
Sorry, one more time.
That handicap parking cannot be taken up for street parking? I mean, for street dining?
Yeah, but we could say, you cannot take up handicap. You cannot have more than up to 3 per business, up to a total of 20 stalls taken up, or, you know, whatever, we could, I mean, I think Attorney Grillinski
Probably a
and myself
percentage,
could
just
come
in
up
case
with
we
a,
add more parking somehow. I mean, I have no idea, but a percentage is probably better, just in case.
That's actually how we did when it was like place, because they originally wanted 4, but there were already 2 handicapped there, so, and then there are a total of 6 regular parking spots, so that's how we came up with giving them 3, not 4.
And while we're on this subject, could we please add something to the bakery parking that says either while the bakery's open, because, you know, no one can park there at night and the bakery's not open. The way the sign says is just no parking.
Well, they pay for it.
Well, it doesn't matter if they're not open, we should be allowed someone to park there.
But you could make that argument that when Artisan's not open, then you should be able to park in their dining spot, you can't. You know what I mean? Because they kind of took that as a CUG as, you know, their street parking, and they used it as parking, not for dining. But if you're gonna make them, and I agree what you're
But
saying.
you can park in front of Artisan when they don't have their tables out.
these two.
Right, but that's only,
No
that's
winter.
the end of the summer. That's not year round, because Artisan doesn't bring their chairs and everything in every
Well, I
night.
know, but I'm just saying, if I can park there when the tables are not in the right of way, why can't I park in the bakery when it's closed at night? I mean, put 8 to 6 or something.
When the original owner showed up and asked for that, I think they stated, look, when we're closed, we don't care if people are parking there,
Right.
okay? And I would assume that the McCourts feel that same way.
I did ask the police, and they said they would never ticket, but the point is, most people are law abiding. I drive by there, there's no one ever parked in them at night. So I'm just saying, it would give us 2 more spots for the restaurants to have people park in if we put a time. I'm sorry.
Yeah, don't give away our secrets.
I'm sorry. I know.
That's how we get our spots.
I know. But I'm just saying, to put a 6 o'clock, I mean, I understand the bakery probably wouldn't want you there at 6 in the morning, because, you know, you could stay too long. Wait, you know, no parking from, 6 AM to 6 PM, I don't know, something like that.
Was that done through a?
Well, and honestly, how many more spots are the business owners willing to give up behind?
What's that?
How many more spots are the business owners willing to give up behind? Because that's the other thing that we've asked for each time. So Artisan had to designate 3 spots in back. Like Place has to designate the 3 spots in back.
Yeah, but now in the summer, you can't even get into like the brewery
I know.
because they charge you, so I mean, you can't even get to those spots. You can't get in unless you pay the money. So I mean, that's kinda hard now. And they just, in my opinion, started that, right, this last summer they were charging?
No, they've been charging.
Couple summers.
It's been
I swear
ongoing.
I've been able to pull in.
No, that started years ago at the coffee shop.
Okay.
Yeah.
This last year, I was trying to get to the parking behind like Chocolate Factory, and they wouldn't let me in. I was like, okay, I'm not going to the beach. So anyway, okay.
So, you want us to look at a couple of things. You want us to look at wording for limiting the maximum number of stalls. You want us to look at capping the total number of stalls on the east side of West Wisconsin Avenue, or north side, east side? On that side of West Wisconsin Avenue. What was the third one? There's a third one now that's now escaping me. No, the inability to try to use handicap stalls for outdoor seating.
I do believe that is a federal law, but,
Yeah,
I mean, you can put it in there if you want. But
Yeah, it's not gonna hurt to put that in
Yeah.
there, but our practice in the past, for the reasons you cited, Commissioner, has been not to give those spots up.
I'd also like to throw something out there to take the board's temperature on, the commission's temperature on, regarding, there has been some there's been some comments made from some of the business owners about not wanting to accommodate existing festivals that have been down there, like the beach party network, not be cooperative with Kiwanis, believing they own these spots on there, not willing to give up their barrier time during that during the street festivals. And you know, I feel like this is a privilege that we are giving to these business owners to do this, and to allow a private entity to make money on the public property, and they shouldn't be taking that for granted when a community organization that's had festivals there.
Who moves the
I'm-
barricade?
I thought the,
Kiwanis move them?
The
I
Kiwanis.
thought, yeah, I thought all these conditional uses had that as a condition, that
Yep.
they had to be.
Is it in there?
It
Yep.
is, it
Okay.
should be. It should be,
Yep.
for the special events, they have to come out.
Yep. I was
Okay.
just gonna
Thank
say
you.
that was like,
Thank
hold on a
My
minute.
recollection was that
Okay.
each of the grants have that language in it.
Okay.
Good time to
special
double check.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if we could verify that, that'd be great.
Anyone else have a comment?
I guess it makes sense for us to
make sure
put
it's
the
in there.
limits on when it comes to the individual business. I look at trying to assign a percentage or something like that, trying to make something complex when we don't know from year to year what the natures of the businesses are going to be down there. There's a world of difference between the parking needs of a doctor's office versus the needs of a restaurant or a bar. And as that changes, I hate to have a static ordinance that says, no, you gotta stick with this, when we have the ability to review all of that right now and make those decisions based off of that business that's in there. I just, it makes sense, again, like I said, to put a number on the individual businesses as far as how many spots they get, but to try to figure out a way percentage or whatever it might be of how many spaces we want to use up, I just, like I said, the nature of the businesses can change from year to year, and the needs change.
And when they
agree.
come, then it's hard to say no if they say, but my neighbor got them,
Right.
right? So I mean, it's hard to say no to them.
But I think
We
this,
don't.
I think the square footage down there and like what's there is gonna dictate what goes into the street. And I think that, you know, like the fitness gym, you know, Anchor, is it Anchor AF? And some of those places aren't gonna ever need street parking, and that's never, I don't see those spaces turning into restaurants or things like that that are gonna need those spaces, where those flagship, if you will, spaces that are bars or restaurants, things like that, are already utilizing the street. I don't think it's gonna get that much bigger where we need to put a percentage on it. It's about, I think it's about where it's gonna go, and we're not gonna take up every spot down there if we max it out at 3 or 4, right? And if 3's where we wanna be, that's what everybody's at now, makes sense, but I agree with Bob.
Because I believe when we discussed the Chocolate Factory and Seasters, when they were going to do it together they were gonna take 3 spaces. And then I think then Seasters backed off, but then the Chocolate Factory, I think they got 2 spaces.
Right.
They did end up getting 3.
Right.
Okay, okay.
Well, the issue that you, to get on Bob's point, is that the spaces have to be in front of the business. They can't have the business here and the spaces over here. They have to be, how is that, in line with the business.
Yeah,
Enterprise.
directly adjacent.
Right. So, you know, some of these are all adjacent to that business, but if somebody, like Bob said, if something goes in between where the fitness center is, they may want to put one out there. And are they gonna be able to do it? Or what about if the people at the one on the corner that took over the old Rexall, the smoothie shop, they want to put something out there? I don't think they will, but
Would
they've
we,
got all that room on the sidewalk.
but are we gonna allow parallel to go?
No, that one's parallel.
That's parallel. Why would, I
No.
mean,
Okay. I'll be honest with you, if I had my way, I'd take out all the street parking and put it all dining. Because I see it as a hazard in the summer. When you drive through on any good summer day, And you got people parking there and they're trying to get out and kids running through the cars and that, it's very dangerous.
I'd shut it down from Labor Day to Memorial Day too, but
Yeah.
we can't because of the railroad crossing, you can't anymore at all. So,
But I mean, one of the things you just said, and this is why I was in such disagreement with the mixin, if you already have area behind the right-of-way that's your property that you have, you know, he has probably seats for 20, there's no reason to give them street parking. So you just said the same thing that, you know, so-and-so already has, you know, parking in the right-of-way, they have lots of space. Well, then we shouldn't have given them to Mixon because they have a lot of space. You know, it's not like
Mhm.
they are looking to feed people outside. They already have it and it's safe and it's behind the fence.
well, and I think even before Mixon was there, I think, you know, when it was the wine bar, the big push for him wasn't necessarily 100% like, I need more space for people. It was more for atmosphere for his diners,
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
You're sitting in Mixon Bar, sitting in this little patio area, and you're staring at a giant SUV, right?
Yeah.
Like,
No,
when
I
you want to
agree.
come down and look at the lake. So
Exactly
that
why.
was, you know, it's more, gives that lake view, right, than it does the extra space. And the extra space is good, but what is it, a couple of times a year where they're really, really utilizing that parking space, right? But I think it gives that better, more of that downtown feel that the lake feel that they're looking for to drive more people down here, which is what we want.
Well, maybe just putting in that, they can get up to 3 spaces, if they meet the criteria that they are able to put street dining on. And maybe just leaving it at that.
And I think it needs to be, definitely for safety, needs to be, you know, angled parking in something, whether that's, you know, done by square footage or, you know, distance from the curb space, that's going to make sure that those parallel parking spots don't become an issue that gets asked for, because I think that's a safety thing for sure.
We have to define width first.
It's true, but, so then we'll put it on the June, after we define width.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, I agree. I don't know if we want to lock ourselves into a number or percentage. I think giving this board as much flexibility, whether we're on it or a future board, I wouldn't want to tie their hands, but I definitely agree with a lot of the sentiments that have been said tonight. But definitely the up to 3, I think, is a good place to start, and maybe go from there.
Do we have any, just before it pops up, then somebody brings it up, do we want to define this as per address as opposed to per owner? Obviously, we have the same owners with multiple restaurants next to each other, and
Well, I think don't they have one, some, aren't they in suites too?
yeah, well, or whatever, so like, base it by address,
Yeah, tenant space.
tenant space.
Tenant space, yeah.
We'll have to look, we'll work on how we can maybe word something.
I do have a question about this map here that you're showing.
Yep.
Hey, I can see where we got Artisan 179, which is by the river.
Just, yep,
That's perfect.
that one.
Yeah,
Yep.
Oh, you zoomed in, I'm sorry. There you go.
This should be
That's
Brufinity?
Brufinity.
Brufinity, right?
Artisan.
and Brufini's the first one way at the
And
top. Then we got Artisan,
And
and we've got the
Chocolate Factory.
And what's this one?
That's Lazar's.
No, Lazar should be on the other side.
Should be
Yeah, the
this.
Lazar should be on the other side,
Lazar should be way down here.
next to the other.
Yeah.
one.
Next to the pink one,
Oh.
and then the
Yeah.
other one is the
I think
Mixon.
that one's probably just,
I might have got out in the wrong, because yeah, it should be, right, because Beach
Yeah,
Bum
La-
is this.
La Trivola should be on the other side.
Yeah, I think it's in the wrong spot. I think it's in the wrong
Mixon should
spot.
be over here too.
Yeah, 'cause I think
Because I
mixed-
think Mixon and Lazar's are like right next to each other.
But Sisters doesn't have, no,
But then there's,
they're just on the patio.
off the sidewalk, yeah.
but at Mixing Bar here, there should be, yeah, this, that's a good point, Mr. Chairman. I think the map is off, because there should be two between Mixing Bar and, what's the business north of them that got theirs approved? Yeah.
The boathouse and the.
So there should be, I'm looking at a different map on my other screen. Yeah, I think there should be down
Yep.
here, there should be two of them. I think this one is not in the right place.
No, that should be moved down.
Yep. I think you are,
Same thing with Mixon. Mixon should be right against the.
yep, should be up here more.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's 6 in here, more roughly. This should come down and that should go up.
Yeah.
I do have to say that I think the one between Mixon and Lazar's, I think they're really close, and I don't know if there's a separation that they show during the summer.
Yeah, there is. Between Mixon and La Trovola?
And La Trova, yeah.
Yeah, they have
They
a,
have put a thing in
yeah,
there?
I don't know if it's just a rope or if it's a
Yeah.
piece of fence, but there is definitely a definition.
Yeah, because it's 6 stalls adjacent to each other,
Yeah.
3 and 3.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but there's definitely definition between Mixon
All right.
and
One time
Lazar.
I was there
Yeah.
once and they didn't really have anything there. So, okay, so is everybody okay with what we've said so far? You wanna? give
Yeah.
us- You got everything?
It gives us some direction to start
But we're
working on.
not gonna go with the percentage.
Yep. I don't know when we'll bring this back. We don't have any pending applications, so kind of depending upon how many agenda items have, we'll try to fit it on when it makes sense.
All right, so then we'll go back to the next thing we have on the meeting, which is public comment. Again, there's still no one here, citizen comments. 8 is adjournment.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are hereby adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
To give Mackenzie some more